this is what we've got. We have our new pattern guides. Now there's 3 in this set. There was a set that's already been out. We've got this one here. You get 5 shapes in each one, but to be honest, once I show you what you're going to do with it, there's a lot more shapes you can get. So that's the first one. I'll show you these briefly. And then we've got the second one here. And then the third one. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm going to actually open them up just now and start using them and show you, so don't tell anyone. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do with these, you've got to have your machine set up. You need to have a special footer. You might already have one of these if you've got our rulers, you bought them previously, but I'll just grab these to show you. So there's 2, and there's a low shank and a high shank. So if you don't have one and you're not sure, if you check your manual, it might say in there. If not, contact your manufacturer. But there is a quick way just to get an idea of which machine it is. Most smaller domestic machines that we use is the low shank foot. So what you can do is on your foot, where you put your feet on your machine, if you take your foot off, and if you put your foot down as if you're going to put it down, so you always have a lever at the back, you're going to put that down. And then where your little screw is at the side, if you just measure with your ruler, and if it's a ½ inch from that screw to the bottom plate, then it's a low shank. My machine here is a low shank machine. If it's ½ inch or more, then it's a high shank. So try it, you know, they're on the website available, so you can go along to the website, order them, and then you can get set up. So the other thing you need to do is get your machine set up with your feed dogs. So a lot of machines, if you have the down feed dog facility, put your feed dogs down. If you don't, like our Gemini stitch doesn't have the feed dog facility, that's absolutely not a problem. You just set your stitch length to 0 and you'll do exactly the same thing. Now I like to have a nice working area with my machine, so if you don't have an extension table, you could also pile some books up or something around the side just to get that bit of extra workspace. Okay, so shall I show you a couple of samples of things that we've got? I want to show you this table runner first. Now, our Wendy made this. Our design team are absolutely fantastic. Just have a look on there so you can see. And now what she's done, she's repeated the block and she's repeated the quilting on each one. So if I'll just move that up a little bit so you can see. And what you can see is just so effective that you actually, you know, quilting that. Now a lot of people are frightened of quilting, and if ever you say quilting, they'll think, well, that's a quilt, I don't make quilts. But there's so many smaller projects, you know, placemats, table mats, bags, cushions, you know, that's where you want to start out with. So I'm going to give you a few ideas today, just to show you how easy it is. So let me get a sample and do a little bit of stitching. So I'm going to take this circle one out first. Okay. And what you'll see when we take these out of the packaging, there's lots of marks on there. Don't worry about that when you first get it, because you are, oh, this is a little bit tough. You are going to get used to them, but the first thing you want to do is just to have a play. Oh dear me, I need some energy. I need an energy drink. Okay, I'll get this out. There we go. Now these are made of hard acrylic. They're 3mm in length. Let's put that in my bin. And then if I just show you what we've got here. So basically, on each side we've got a shape. There's 5 different shapes. So what I'm going to show you throughout the length of this live is the different shapes that you can actually make with it. So get yourself some fabric. So I've got myself here, I've got a piece of just ordinary weight cotton, use some wadding on the inside and then cotton on the bottom. And I always use stick and spray to put my layers together. You can get that readily available on the website. And then you're away. So you put normal cotton in your normal needle and then just freehand without even putting the ruler in, just get your tension right on your machine. So basically your foot down and then you're just going to sew. So I'm just going to do a little swirl and just get the feel of it. Don't worry if you go and zigzag or anything like that, it's absolutely fine. So I know that my tension's right on that machine. If it isn't, tweak it just to get your tension right. So let's take that out. Right, so let's have a look. So we're going to have a go at this circle one first. Now once you've got used to having your bit of practice, what you'll start looking at is saying, well, I want to plan what I'm going to quilt, what I'm going to show. So you're going to start doing sort of grid lines on your fabric. So I've got a few examples here, whereas this one here, we've got a 9 patch of grids. Okay, and then I've got a few more of different ones. So this one I've used a chalk pencil. I know you can't probably see it very well on the camera, but I've done like a crosshatch on there. This one I've just used some masking tape. There's all different ways to do it. It's whatever way is easier for you and what you feel comfortable with. Some people don't like marking the fabric, so with this one I've put the masking tape round, and then I've put halfway marks and corner marks on this one. In a short while when we come to use the rulers, you'll see why those marks do help. And then we've got another one there is a smaller grid if you're making a smaller pattern. But like I say, don't worry too much when you first get them. Just have a play and just, go through, look, play with all the patterns, see what they make, and see what, where you're comfortable with. And tend to find the inside shapes, like the circle, that's the easiest one. When I first started using them, I used that one first. That was easy. Okay. So we're going to have a go at this circle one first. So I've got my grid that I've drawn out, and then I've got my ruler. And then what I'm going to do is just centre the circle part. I'm just going to do the centre one first. You're going to centre the circle part in. Now what you'll see on the ruler is where you've got these lines are all at the quarter points of the circle on this particular one. So you can line them up with your lines that you've drawn. If you're anything like me, I am a very symmetrical person. I did post a picture the other night of I have 3 cats. I had 2 on the cushions on my couch and 1 on the back, and I posted saying I need another cat because I need to be symmetrical. But if you want to just go for it, and any pattern at all, it's absolutely fine. It's your item, it's your choice what you're going to put on. So all you're going to do is get your foot there, and your foot's going to butt up against the side of the ruler. So as you're stitching, a medium speed, you don't really need to go too fast. And what you'll do is you hold the ruler, and what you'll feel is when you hold it, there's like it's not like sandpaper, but it's actually officially an anti-slip technology, what's actually being manufactured on there, and it's on both sides. And what it helps is to grip. So if you can see, I'm not even stitching there, but as I'm moving the ruler, the fabric's moving, but the ruler isn't. It's sort of sticking to it. But then it's quite slippy underneath, so you've got, as you move, and you can see you want to be able to move it round. So let's stitch round here. So all you're going to do is just start on this circle. You can start at any point. You're going to just steadily go around. So, and what you want to do is keep the ruler butted up to the side of the foot. Now this foot is, the stitch line will be a 1/4 of an inch away. Once you start measuring it, you'll start sort of planning your measurements and things. But again, for now, don't worry. Just get that pattern on there and then see what's happened. So I'm just going to stitch all the way around. And you see how easy it's going round. You've got plenty of space either side of your machine. Even if you've got a machine that hasn't got a very wide throat, which is the right hand side of your needle, our rulers are designed so they're quite narrow one way, so they're more of a rectangle in size. So you have got that manoeuvrability. So what I'll do, I'm going to take that out. I say it just comes out there, and I'm going to move the ruler away, and then there's our circle in the middle. Now because I did those 9 grid lines, if you continued and filled all those up, grab Here's one I did earlier. I wish I had more time to show you all of it, but there's so many to show you. It's just going to take forever. I don't think they'd let me be on all night. Well, Jess wants to go home as well, so. And she has to go and fill her car up with petrol. She's not happy. She ran out of petrol. So here we go. Look at that 9. This is just a plain side. So just imagine you've made a quilt with that, or a bag or anything, and you've made that panel on there. You might have appliqued circles on there, and you've just, you know, quilted on all of that. How effective would that be? And it's just simple. It's just one shape out of 5 that are on the ruler. Okay, so let's have a look at some more samples. Let's see what else that circle can do. So here we go. Now these here, I mentioned before our design team, and they're absolutely fabulous. This pile here, they don't have a name on, but I know they were made by our Tricia. So thank you, Tricia, for these. I'm not going to be able to show all of them as well. There's another pile on the side that is, you know, they're just absolutely fabulous. So what we've got is, we've just got a different swirl on there. So if I find the ruler that's got those on, we've sort of referred to this one, we call it the Paisley one because it's a little bit Paisley. So if I hold that one up there, it's this centre one here. So you can see it's a bit like a Paisley shape. And that's there, and what's happened is it's just been repeated around. And it's a bit like spirograph. Remember when we were children we had the spirographs? It's a bit like that. And it's just all the way around, just repeating itself. But how effective is that? So I'll just show you another one. Now with that same ruler, if I hold the ruler up again, you can see the zigzag down the side, okay? And then if I bring in, there's that zigzag, and again, it's just gone out. How great would that look on a border? You know, if you just space them out, say you had a 2-inch border and you put a couple of those down, it would be really, really effective. And it's just so simple. Again, that's just one side of the ruler. And I'll show you one more for now, and then we're going to do another demo. So this one here, so this is the other ruler that we've got. So if I show this one here, and then this little pattern here at the bottom, that's like a feather, okay? Now with this one, look at that. How great is that? So if you try to do that freehand, you know, yes, if you're experienced, you will be good, and I hold my hat, take my hat off, sorry, to anyone who can do that, because I'm not very steady at all. And some people say try practicing around a line rather than instead of a ruler, but I find if I go off that line, then that disappoints me, because I think, well, I've gone wonky. But you haven't, especially if you've used heat erasable pen, you're just going to iron that off, so you're not going to see it anyway. But these are absolutely fabulous. So I'm going to show you another demo. Bear with me. Right. So I was saying before about what else we're going to do with circles. So if I get the circle ruler again, so this is where you can see you've got these markings on here. I'll just get a pen. So you can see that we've got a line at the top and the bottom, one at either side, and then we've got the interim ones here. And you can see that there's some black dots on here. I'm not sure if you'd be able to pick it up, but these are angle lines as well. So you've got 30, 45, 60 and 90. So if you wanted to do a quarter of a circle, sorry, you can mark these. And by all means, what I know when Lizzie did the first set of rulers, a great tip that I got from Lizzie was that she put extra marks on. So if she wanted to do a certain area of that circle and stop at a certain point, put, you know, if you've got a little bit of masking tape or washi tape or something like that, pop a little mark on just for that project. You know, your rulers, if you want to put a permanent mark on, you can. We've put these on to start you off. The other side is, on this side as well, you'll see that there's grid lines on. So those are all 1/4 inch lines away from the edge. And basically, as you actually doing the pattern, so say we were doing this pattern here up the side, you'd then just, if you moved it 1/4 inch away, 1/4 inch away each time, or 1/2 inch or 1 inch, whichever one, it helps you do that even spacing. So that works along with your grid. So if you've got your grid lines on there, or you didn't even want to put grid lines on, you could go up there and use this line, you know, to work your way along just to get it even. But like I say, you're going to do this, you're going to enjoy it. So just have a go and see what happens and what it turns out like. So what I'm going to show you is something else different to do with the circle. So we mentioned those lines. So what I've done here, I've got my piece of fabric and I've just drawn a line along the bottom, just about 1.5 inches up out the way. Again, I've got my 2 pieces of fabric, my wadding in the centre, use my stick and spray. I always give it a little iron even as well. It's not the stick and stay, which is made permanent when you iron, but I find that it just keeps it all nice and smooth together, because you don't really want sort of lumpy fabric when you're quilting it. So what I'm going to do is that centre line through the circle, I've got my ruler sideways on this one, I've put that centre line along my line that I've drawn, so in effect I'm drawing it's a semicircle on there. Well, I'm going to stitch, but that's where it is like drawn. You know, it's your creativity. So what I do, and what I tend to do as well, is I'll put my needle down, and you can bring your bobbin thread up to the top, and then if you like to tie your ends off afterwards, you can do that. But for this purpose, I'm not going to pull that up because this is just my practice piece. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do this semicircle. So again, I've put my needle down just in the line, and that just gives you a secure starting point, and then you can get your feel right on there. And what I do is I tend to put my fingers on rather than my flat hands. It's similar when I'm rotary cutting. I'll always like to have my hand up, that my fingertips are touching rather than the flat of the palm. But do whatever works best for you. Some people as well will wear gloves, grippy gloves, just to give you that extra little bit of grip. So what you're always thinking about is you're grippy on the top, slippy on the bottom. So I don't know whether it's an extra use for this, but the stick away, which is great, and it worked on my hands earlier because I had stick and spray all over them. Stick away is great for polishing. So if you get a bit of fabric and I did bring an old tea towel here that I'd been using, get a bit of fabric, stick away on there, give this a rub, and it smooths it up lovely, and it just gives you that. Well, I've got my needle down, I can't move my fabric, but it just helps you move. You can see there how slippy it is. But I say you want grippy on the top, slippy on the bottom. Okay, so let's start and do some sewing. So I've got my needle down, and I'm gently pressing on the ruler. You don't need to really press hard because it's not going to move anywhere. You'll get the feel of it. Like I say, just practice and practice, and you'll soon get the feel of it, and then you'll get to know the shapes which you're more comfortable with, that you'll want to start off doing first, and just do everything with that on. Everyone will love it. So again, the ruler, you're just going to butt it up against the side of the foot and steady away. See, I always go about half speed. If you go too slow, sometimes your stitches can jump and they look too big. So if your stitches do look really big, that's why. So just be brave and go a little bit faster. But say you don't have to go full pelt. You'll get to know your level. So let's take that out. So we can see there, we've got a semicircle. Okay, so I'm just going to do another one of those, and then I'll line it up again. So all I've done is I've lined up my foot to the end of the semicircle where I stopped, and I've put my needle down. So I've got my first semicircle here, and then I'm going to do another one here. I've used those lines on the ruler again as a guide. So that bottom line that I drew on the bottom of here, you're lining that up again, and then you're just going to do another semicircle. So just steady away. And the other thing as well that sometimes happens is you might get a little bit of a slip stitch. It could be that that's your needle, so I tend to start off with a new needle. And just, you start off as best you can, and then, you'll learn whether you need to change your needle. The best needle I use are actually embroidery needles, 80-12 embroidery needles, or top stitch needles, metallic needles. You don't want anything too thin, so I wouldn't go lower than an 80 size needle. If you remember, the higher the number, the thicker the needle. But if you think how you're putting quite a bit of pressure on there because you're moving the fabric, so when you're normally sewing, the feed dogs are carrying your fabric through. When you're doing this, you're moving it. So a bigger eye on the needle, which is what you get in a top stitch needle or a metallic needle, works. Okay, so all I've done here is I've moved along, and I'm just going to do another bit, and then what you see is I'm at the end of my fabric, but that's fine. I'm just going to stop at the end. Okay, now I'll just take that out. So you see now what we've got here, and then what you can do is you could continue along, so you've got the loops, the semicircles all the way along, and then this is the best bit. You're going to do the next line, and then you're going to see what shape we've made, and I'll be hopefully you'll guess it. Some of you might have guessed it already online what shape this is going to be. You'll have to message in, and then I'll check the time later and just see who managed to get the shape. So what I'm going to do now is, on the ruler, on one of the sides is a dotted line. So it's just at the side here. And what I'm doing is I'm lining that dotted line up with the arch of where my two semicircles met. Hope that makes sense. And then I'm going to position my foot just at the top of the semicircle before. I'll do it and then show you, and then it'll make more sense, because sometimes the visual's better, isn't it? So again, I'm just going to sew around and just put that foot up to the ruler. And then when you get to the top of the other circle, you're going to stop. Okay? And then you're going to go along again and repeat that again. So your dotted line, you're going to match up with this bottom. Okay, and then you're going to sew again. So let's go on again. Now say a medium speed. Try going slower and then try going faster, and you'll get to see the difference. And I say you will get to a comfortable speed. Suppose it's like driving. If you're trying to, well, sorry, not trying, when you're keeping at the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, you know your foot's there, you get used to it, don't you? When you're first learning to drive, it's a bit more difficult, and you maybe being a little bit Lewis Hamilton. So are we ready for the reveal? So who guessed what shape this was? Are you ready? Here we go. Clamshell. Yeah, well done. I'm sure some of you will have got it. Now, if I show you the version of this that I did earlier, there you go. And that's just from that same circle. So, you know, it just shows how many uses you can do. You don't have to just do a circle. Okay?